You almost ready?
Yeah.
This is a TPAC 20, a podcast brought to you by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center, where we talk about anything and everything relating to the performing arts in 20 minutes. Today, we're at the Noah Liff Opera Center with Artistic Director and CEO John Hoomes, talking about their upcoming production of Rigoletto. So we are here at the beautiful Noah Liff Opera Center,
Yes.
where our Nashville Opera, you have your administrative offices as well as your rehearsal space.
We do. Administrative offices, rehearsal space, black box theater convertible into that for some of our shows.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And so we're here tonight talking to John Hoomes, who is the artistic director as well as the CEO.
True, yes.
For the Nashville Opera.
This is true.
And so, because you have an upcoming performance that we're very excited about. And so what I'd like to do first is talk about Rigoletto, the history of it, why it's important, why you decided to do it, and then we'll talk about how you're directing this particular performance. Does that sound good?
Sure.
So in history, where does Rigoletto fall in the opera world, and why is it such an important piece that it's considered part of the canon, really, right?
Oh, yeah, top 10. One of the top 10 operas performed around the country. It was written in the early 1850s by Giuseppe Verdi. He had a huge creative spurt in that time, and so in a very short amount of time, he wrote Rigoletto, La Traviata, and Il Trovatore. Almost wrote them at the same time, all together. And they're both like very, very popular. All three are very, very popular pieces, and they could not be more different than each other. One is, the Traviata is more elegant in the way it's portrayed. It portrays the characters. Trovatore is just a big blood and guts Italian opera. I mean, really just all out there. And Rigoletto is a revenge piece. And it's very dark. The music is beautiful, though. In fact, I think one reason this piece has survived as well as it has is it's almost one tune after another. And a lot of things that people know but may not realize they know.
What is it about?
It is about at its base, it is about a father whose daughter is hurt by a man, and the father seeks revenge for his daughter. And that's the basic story. And being an opera, everything goes horribly, horribly wrong. It just is. It just does in a fantastic way. I mean, the plot is incredible. And the first time we did the show, when I was here, when I first came to Nashville, we did it. And I had a person on our crew who had never seen this piece before, had never heard of it before. And she came up to me after like one of our rehearsals, and she said, "This is like a movie." She goes, "Has this been a movie?" And actually, I don't think it has. Somebody should rewrite this as a movie. The original source material was from Victor Hugo, who wrote Les Miserables and The Hunchback of Notre Dame and all these other wonderful pieces. It was his play this is based on. The original play was in French, and it was called Triboulet. For some reason, Verdi changed the title to Rigoletto. It's still the title character name. He came very, very, very close to not calling it by the character, but actually calling this opera The Curse, La Maledizione, because that plays a big role in the show.
In what way?
It's the first thing you hear. The music of The Curse is the first thing you hear in the show. There's a short prelude about 2.5 minutes long, and it's all the curse. It's all the same melody of the curse. And then the curse plays throughout. The curse happens dramatically near the end of the first act. And then Rigoletto obsesses over it, and we come back to it, and we come back to it, and then he sings the theme again to it, and he worries about it.
What is the curse?
It's just a good old-fashioned Italian curse. And you don't mess with them. You don't mess with them. And in fact, at the end of Act 1, the character that curses Rigoletto curses another character. He curses the Duke as well. And the Duke just laughs it off and doesn't believe in it. Rigoletto believes in it.
Why was he cursed?
Because he made fun of this man, another man's daughter, basically, and her pain and shame. And so this old man had come to this party to actually have his say against the Duke, who also abused his daughter. The abuse to Rigoletto's daughter has not happened yet, by the way.
Okay.
And so when the old man, whose name is Monterone, comes in, he comes in really just to curse the Duke and to come to terms with him about the way his daughter has been treated. Rigoletto inserts himself in, just being kind of a jerk, to be honest, into the whole plot. And so when the old man curses the Duke, he then turns to Rigoletto and says, "And you, who made fun of my daughter's pain, I curse you too."
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. And this is a good old fashioned Italian curse,
Yeah.
right? And they have a lot of weight among people that believe in such things, and Rigoletto definitely believes. So at the end of that first scene, after he is cursed, as we start the next act, he is coming down a dark street headed home, and he's wandering by himself in this alley, and he stops, and he sings, that old man put a curse on me. And here's that musical theme again. So Rigoletto obsesses about something horrible may happen because of this. And it does.
Yeah.
Maybe they only work if you believe it. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
So how many characters are in this opera?
It's pretty big. They're principal characters. There are probably 5 principal characters. There are probably 5 secondary characters at least. We have a chorus of around 16 to 20. We have supernumeraries. In the movies, they call them extras. In opera, it's supernumeraries. They're non-singing roles. And the opening act is at a party the Duke is throwing. And so the entire chorus is there, 16 men, and then we have around 15 or 16 women that are at the party. It's the only scene they show up in. They don't sing, they're just party goers.
And talk about the music. Who's playing the music, and how big is the orchestra?
The orchestra for this will be the Nashville Opera Orchestra, conducted by Dean Williamson, who is our maestro, our music director. We have, I think, an orchestra maybe in the upper 40s, almost 50 players. It's a pretty big band, as I say. And they're fantastic. They're such great musicians. And all of these people in our orchestra are Nashville natives. A lot of them play in session work here in town. And they're just terrific. And they're very excited to do this type of piece, especially with Dean. Dean is a great conductor, and the orchestra really loves him. And that goes a long way when the orchestra really wants to work for the conductor and likes the conductor.
So when this piece first came, is it what language is it in?
Italian.
It's in Italian.
It is.
When it first came out, how was it received? Was it popular?
Oh yeah, it was hugely popular. Hugely, it was one of Verdi's biggest hits. In fact, Verdi had already had a lot of success, and he got upset earlier because sometimes his melodies became well known too soon, like before the opera opened. And he said in one of his letters he got very tired of going out on the street before an opera opened and hearing an organ grinder with a monkey playing his song, right? And there was no copyright in that day to speak of, and so usually there would somebody in the back of the theater, and they would transcribe it during a rehearsal and then go out and they'd steal it, right? And so there's a famous aria in the last act of this piece of Rigoletto called La Donna Mobile, and it's very famous. It's been in a ton of commercials, and pardon my singing, but it kind of goes yum bum bum ba da da yum bum bum ba da 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 yavadam. I mean, it's a famous melody, right? And the story is that Verdi refused to give the aria to the tenor until the last possible second. Because he said
nobody could steal it.
Yeah, he said, I don't want to hear this on a street corner with a guy with a monkey and an organ. I want to save this for my opera. And so the tenor kept asking him, when do I get the aria? And it wasn't until almost the final rehearsals Verdi said, here you go, and gave it to him.
Wow.
Yeah, because he wanted to keep it secret so nobody would steal it.
Wow.
He knew it was a good tune, you know?
Yeah, I would say that is a great tune.
For sure.
Do you edit it in any way, or do you just do it as written and then choose to how do you choose what direction you're going to take?
Well, musically, we're doing it as written. There are a couple of cuts here and there. There are a couple of repeats that Verdi gives you the option of taking or not. And to be honest, sometimes it wears out its welcome a little bit. And so we've done a couple of trims of repeats here and there. Not much, though. It's almost the full, complete score. The original setting for the piece was in medieval time with courtiers and dukes and I've done it like that a lot in that period. This production will be very, very different because early on I felt I wanted to do something different with this. And so we are updating the piece into to the 1940s or 50s world of film noir. And the piece lends itself to that because a lot of it's about darkness and shadow and light. The characters feel like they're out of like a 1940s movie. There's a lot of revenge in it. There's a lot of betrayal in it. And it just felt like a good fit. And the more that I've worked on it, it feels like a really good fit. And so our lead bad guy, the tenor, Strange, the tenor plays the bad guy in this, is traditionally he is the Duke of Mantua. Originally, I think in the play, it was a king, and the censors told Verdi they had to change it. He couldn't have a king on stage, one, with talk about assassination, so you couldn't do that. But second, you couldn't portray a king in a negative way as a lecherous...
As a bad guy.
As a bad guy. And he said, but you can do a duke. Nobody cares about a duke. And so he changed it to the Duke of Mantua. And so in this version we're updating it. And so at the beginning, it doesn't take place at the Duke of Mantua's castle. He becomes Duke, and it takes place at Duke's nightclub.
Okay.
And so all the courtiers around, who are usually men in tights and things, instead they're there at this nightclub party that you'd see like with Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner. So it's gonna be different, but
and
really cool.
Who's doing the costumes, and what fun have they had with that?
A lot. June Kingsbury is doing the costumes, who's with Lipscomb University, and she and I have been working on this. She has created and pulled and rented all kind of really great styles, and for both men and women, the 1940s, especially 1940s, the style was great. You know, men wore hats. I wish men wore hats today, but a lot of them don't. But everyone had a hat. The cut of the suits were beautiful. The women's clothing was incredibly elegant and cool, and the hairstyles. It's just a different world. And so we're going to be moving into that world with this piece.
So talk to us a little bit about the way you hire the cast. Like, do they know what your direction is when they're hired, or is that something that you tell them later? Because I know you plan your seasons really far in advance.
We do, and we hire, sometimes we hire at least 2 years out to get the singers that we want. If their careers are really big, you want to catch them early to make sure they're available, and we have a fantastic cast for this. But no, when we first were doing Rigoletto a couple of years ago, when we first started casting it, I think we were leaning toward doing what everybody would do, a normal traditional production. And little by little, the more I thought about it, I thought, why don't we try this? And so we did. And I have let the singers know about it. In fact, we emailed the tenor and just said, this is not going to be a traditional production. And he wrote back and said, thank goodness. And I went, wow, okay. So I think they're all on board to go for it. But we do audition in New York. I go up every fall, and we hear singers for about 4 days, usually one singer every 10 minutes. And we hear a lot of people and then start making our choices based on who we want and availability. And this has come together wonderfully with our Rigoletto. Our lead baritone will be Michael Mays, who was with us recently with Glory Denied. Very intense performer who has a big career, huge career, both in the United States and in Europe. Our Gilda is Catherine Lewick, who sang with us a number of years ago, maybe 6 years ago, in The Magic Flute as the Queen of the Night. It was one of her first Queen of the Nights, and now she's done it in every house all over the world. And she is the top Queen of the Night for the Met right now.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So she's coming back to do her first Gilda, her first time doing this role. And the tenor is a young man named Zach Borachevsky that I worked with about a year ago in a different city. Fantastic, terrific tenor, 6'4", handsome, and the bad guy in this. But he's very excited about coming to do this and also taking a different look at the piece and how the piece is going to run.
And so the show opens like the second week of April, right?
It does.
And so the singers aren't here yet, or are they?
No, they're not here yet. They come in near the end of March. We have about 2 weeks of rehearsal and then 1 week at TPAC to put it all together. And that actually is enough time because these people, most of them have all done the roles before. And so we just come together in this new setting with new people and put it together with the concept. Just by the way we work and the challenge of it, there's no way anybody could learn it as we rehearse. They have got to come with it fully memorized the first day, off book the first day, and then how we interpret that is the rehearsal process and the positioning and the staging and things. But they're supposed to come the first day. Once they come into the first rehearsal, they should know it. They should have it totally memorized. It's different. It's different in the world of theater for sure.
Yeah, I think that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's super cool.
It's very quick, though. It is, isn't it?
It is. But sometimes these pieces are very intense pieces, and you just can't rehearse them that much because they're very physically demanding, vocally demanding, but also physical, especially this production, I think, the way we're going to do it. And so you don't want a long time with it necessarily. You want to come in and keep the intensity at a high level. I've also seen rehearsal periods that are too long, and so you kind of you lose any surprise for yourself and the singers if you get anything too close to perfection too early.
Yeah.
So we want to keep the energy of that.
Talk to us about the film noir direction and what other things you're doing with this. You've partnered with the Nashville Film Festival, for one thing.
We did. We partnered with Nashville Film Festival, which has been great. I had the crazy idea for this type of concept, and I remember being in a lunch, and at that lunch, I said, "What about this?" And thank goodness the people that were there said, well, that's a great idea. Let's contact the film festival and see their interest, and then we move from there. And I think the only reason this has gone as well as it has is because of the Nashville Film Festival doing a lot of heavy lifting. As far as in the film world, we have started a competition in which we have commissioned a silent black and white movie with the themes of film noir. And my criteria was it was black and white, silent, PG-13, and it would synchronize then with the opening prelude of Rigoletto. And so we gave them a piano scratch track of the prelude. And then during the show at TPAC, this movie will be featured at the beginning of the opera during the prelude and screened for the audience.
That's amazing. And how many people submitted pieces?
We received 10 submissions. We narrowed it down to 5 finalists. And then actually this very night that we're recording this, we will have a film fest and screen all 5 for an audience and then pick the winner at the end of the night.
That's really fun. That's really fun, John.
Yeah, it's very different. It's very different and very cool, but because I'm incorporating into the production at TPAC, we're incorporating a lot of video imagery, moving imagery. We're actually keeping a lot of the show itself in black and white, very monochromatic, like an old movie. But we're incorporating a lot of video. And I work with Barry Steele, who's a video and lighting designer out of Brooklyn, and we do a lot of shows together. And so early on, he and I were saying, now, how can this work? So a lot of the set are made up of video screens. And TPAC technically is perfect because TPAC is a wonderful technical facility that allows us to do this type of work.
And so, like thinking of the Jackson Hall stage, which is very big, I'm assuming you'll be utilizing the huge scrim in the back,
Oh,
as
will.
well as other And just other screens throughout?
Right. We'll have the entire back wall will be a rear projection screen. And then we have, I think, 6 or 8 other screens of various size, anywhere from like 5 feet to, I think we have one freestanding one that's like 32 feet. So it really will fill the stage.
What else is going to be on stage?
Well, we had a lot of fun shopping for period furniture, which we have done. But a lot of it is going to be the lighting and the video. You know, a lot of it is, we're almost creating a black and white film noir that we're going to drop the singers into.
Nice.
And I think it's going to be unlike anything I've done, and unlike anything I think people have seen. There's interest around the country for it because it's so different, and everybody's looking for different ways to do things. And so we'll see if it goes anywhere else, but it's going to start here at TPAC.
This has been a TPAC 20. Go to tpac.org/insideout to find all of our podcast series.